What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the local meta report here in St. Louis, Missouri. I, of course, am Brad, aka the mayor of Lorcana, and I'm bringing to you the latest and greatest in Disney Lorcana competitive decks here in the greater St. Louis area week to week and having a blast doing it. I wasn't sure we were going to get to do it this week because it was a holiday week. Half the decks every week come from Thursday night between Bodax Games and Manicore Game Shop. But being Thanksgiving was on Thursday, wasn't sure if we were going to get around to doing this, but we did get a couple decks from Tuesday. We got another one on Friday, as well as a couple more interesting decks on Friday. Might be patting myself on the back a little bit because one of them is mine, but not really mine. It's a net deck from somebody else. We'll get into it when we get there, but I've been having a lot of fun with it. And if you've been watching this at all or the podcast specifically, you probably know what it's going to be. And I can't wait to talk about it. I don't get to get on here a whole lot because I'm usually 2-1 or worse. And I'd rather celebrate the community anyway, even if I did get the 3-0. So that's too much about me for the intro. Let's talk about why you're really here. Let's get into the first deck of the week. And that first deck comes to you by way of Justin at the Collector Store on Tuesday night, going 3-0 with a Blurple. Justin's been playing a lot of different decks these past few weeks and being successful with all of them. This time, Blurple, he calls his deck Boost Me Up Scotty because it is centered entirely around the new mechanic that we see in Whispers in the Well called, of course, Boost. We got the 3-drop Cheshire Cat, of course, that was in every single deck that we talked about last week. And I think every Amethyst deck that going forward is going to have this cat. It is that good, and a card I'm still trying to convince Vince to come around on here at the Rules of Villainy podcast. For being such a big cat person, he does not like this card as much as he likes the Belle at the 5-drop, which Justin is still running 3 of because she is a 4/4 and can move up to 3 damage when she's played. But the replayability of this cat, or the replayability of his ability, is just too good to keep your board healthy. On top of that, he has the 3-cost Kristoff, which is a 2/3 quest for 2, and he's a boost 1. And whenever he has a card underneath him and he quests, you can take the top card of your deck of your ink. Wow, of your deck and put it into your inkwell. I tried to combine all of that into one word. It didn't really work out right there. I think that's a fun card. Most of the time on 3, assuming you've ramped on 2 with Tipo and Sail, or either one of those. You're looking for your 4-drop. You don't want to really play Dumbo there because you don't get any effect from him, but there might not be any removal, so it might be okay. A lot of times it's Genie on 4 because of he's evasive quest for 2 and draws you a card. But with the rise of the Headless Horseman in these Ruby decks that are coming up right now, it's hard to play that Genie other than just to get the value of the draw for him to stick around. But the Kristoff is a viable option. He's a 3-cost inkable 2/3 quest for 2, and he is a boost 1, so you could do both of those on turn 3, and it's basically a 4-drop, and on your next turn you're ramping again. So I do like that quite a bit. His 2 strength makes him susceptible to the Horseman, but unless they're playing an Amber Ruby deck, the Horseman's not really ramping with you because we haven't seen a whole lot of Sapphire Ruby at the moment. It's a deck that Justin has been testing though, so we might see that come up in the ranks in the weeks to come. But I think Kristoff on 3 allows him to get that quest off unless they have some kind of hard removal, like a Strength of a Raging Fire or something to get him out there before he gets that quest off. But it's worth testing. I do like that card quite a bit. Moving on through the rest of the deck, of course, at the 5-drop, we have the Belle, who probably doesn't have damage to move yet, so you're saving her for later on. We got the Elsa for the Exert and the Rush. Of course, Hades looking for a deal is just so much fun. And then at the 5 slot Whisper, we have the Ursula, who's a 4/5 quest for 2, and if you boost her for 1, she is now a 4/5 that quests for 3, and she's evasive, which is a lot to deal with. So that is a fun card to have there at the 5 slot as well. Get her out on turn 4 if you can. Yeah, we're running one of the Cusco here. Selfish Emperor, 3/5, quest for 2. He can give resist for the cost of 4 ink, or when he is played, you can banish ink an item or a location on your opponent's board. So a little bit of removal there if you're seeing some guidebooks or something that are hanging out there waiting to get draw for a mirror match, for example, which Justin is not running the guidebook here, which is interesting. He is finding plenty of draw elsewhere. But that Cusco, I like to see him come back around. He's been a lot of fun and a good tech in these Blurple decks. He's been in mine for a while, at least a one of when items were more prominent. Monstro, one of Hades, of course, for magical maneuvers we've talked about on here quite a bit. It is a good 2-cost action. Return chosen character of yours to your hand to exert a chosen character, so you can get extra value out of some other things. You can return a Tipo and ink it if you need it, because he's done his job. Why not ink some more with the same Tipo, or play him again if you want to get rid of some cards in your hand into your inkwell? Most of the time that's probably not the case. He's probably going to be the one going to the inkwell instead of being played. And then Sudden Scare is a fun card as well. It's a hard removal 4-cost inkable action that is basically chosen character goes into their opponent's inkwell, but they get the caveat of an additional ink from the top of their deck as well, but still hard removal. And then, of course, Into the Unknown, second star to the right, an Ink Runner, which is a 2-cost inkable item. When you play this item, draw a card. So a little bit of hand replenishment there, and you can use it to exert, pay 1 ink, and give somebody alert later on in the game to challenge into a or into a Dumbo or Genie or whatever evasive threat that they have on the board. So looks like it's a lot of fun. Justin found success with it. I don't know what the field was on Tuesday night, but I do like this deck quite a bit. There are a bunch of variations of Blurple that are popping up here and there, and I'm interested to try these out. I really like the idea of this Kristoff. I want to maybe pick his brain a little bit more and see how successful he was with that. But Ursula and Cheshire Cat for sure are going to be in my deck, and possibly Kristoff as well. Congratulations to Justin for his 3-0 on Tuesday night. Let's move on to the other one. All right, and that second deck belongs to Steven, Captain Inkswell at Collector Store on Tuesday night, going 3-0 with what he calls Timu RP. And that's Timu because it is a discount version of the red purple, the ruby amethyst that he would like to be running, because his son is now back on Blurple and he's taken his Demonas, his Hades, and his Dumbos. So he's got to play with a less optimized version of ruby amethyst, but he's still finding ways to get it done. That's showing you the power that ruby amethyst does have, and is on the rise of being one of the top tier decks again. We've seen Steven on here the last couple weeks, of course, even twice last week from 2 different league nights, going 3-0 with different versions of this deck, just modified just a little differently each time. This time heavily modified, because instead of Dumbos, we have Ryder, the fleet-footed infiltrator, at the 4-drop, which a 2 of there. He is a 3/4 evasive quest for 1. He has 3 of the Yzma conniving chemist in the 4 spot as well. 4-cost inkable 3/3 quests for 2, and you can exert her if you have fewer than 3 cards in your hand. Draw up to 3 cards, or until you do have 3 cards, I should say. So a little bit of a draw package there in place of the Dumbo, and Hades as well, because Hades comes out on 5 and basically offers you, let me draw 2 cards or bottom one of your cards. So the removal's gone, but the draw is not even an option anymore for the opponent. It is entirely on Steven with the Yzma there. And then looking at the rest of the deck, I think everything looks pretty similar to what was in the previous weeks. He does have the 4-cost Challenger Demona, but I think she's always been there. I may be mistaken. I don't have his previous decks in front of me. 1-drops are Mulan and Tinkerbell. The Mulan sets up the Cheshire Cat in the 3-drop, which of course you can't boost until after he is dry, because you won't have the ink to do it until he's been established on the board. Tinkerbell is just a hard-hitting 1-drop 3/1, of course, and then your 2-drops are very, very good in the Diablo. The Lumiere is just a very, very good card. I'm glad to see him getting his due finally. I've liked him for a very long time. And he's also running the 3/3 Shere Khan. He was running that with the shift package in previous weeks, but it looks like he's taken out the 8-cost Shere Khan. Maybe not has found as much value in that currently, or maybe just the synergy in this deck didn't work out entirely for it to be run here. But he's got the Headless Horseman, who has been rising in the ranks and being just a terror amongst the top decks here in the area for a while, and just Disney Lorcana as a whole. The Horseman is making his presence known. We got the 6-cost uninkable Goofy, Flying Goofy. He's a 5/5 rush with evasive. Of course, Maleficent Dragon there, 2 of those. And then the draw comes from the Junior Woodchuck Guidebook and a couple of Bee King Undisputeds, which every time I sat next to him and watched him play that, he always has it when he needs it, and it's absolutely incredible how he's making this deck work, and very happy for him. So congratulations to Steven for the other 3-0 on Tuesday night. And moving all the way to Friday, still at the Collector Store, though, we had Ron, the reckless one from Rules of Villainy, going 3-0 with Amethyst Steel. He made it clear to me when we talked later in the week that I was wrong last week when he submitted his deck, and he named it Testing. I assumed it was for the Timothy Q Mouse, which he still has here in the 2 slot as a 4 of, when it is a 1/4. And whenever you have an evasive character in play, he quest for one more, so we could potentially quest for two. But it wasn't the mouse he was testing; it was fire the cannons. That's all. A couple extra fire the cannons to maybe take away a little bit of tempo from the opponent if he was establishing a board and trying to keep theirs clean. Fire the cannons early on can just take care of their one or two drop, and that he can continue building his board. So he's taken them out this time and replaced it with the Madam Mim Tiny Adversary, who we all know from the last couple sets of Amethyst Steel. She's been popping in and out of that deck to present a little bit more strength on all of the characters when they're challenging. She has Challenger +1 herself. She gives everybody else Challenger +1 when they're challenging, and this is a very challenge-heavy deck. And that's the only change from last week. We got the 1-drops in the Diablo, Palace Guard, and Captain Hook. They all have their purpose. We have the 2-drops in Madam Mim, Timothy Q. Mouse, and Calhoun, as well as the Dock to replenish your hand. That is, the Calhoun and Dock are almost always 4-ofs in this deck. Of course, the Cheshire Cat to move damage once it's established and you can boost him. We have the instant lore from the Giant Cobra. We have an evasive Tink on 3, which is a 1/3 quest for 2, and she's evasive, of course, of 4 of Lexington, 4 of Dumbo, Genie, and Elsa Hades. Pretty cookie cutter Amethyst Steel deck because it gets the job done. I believe his final match was going to be against his wife, who was also on Amethyst Steel for the night. I could be wrong on that. I don't actually know if that's the case or not, but I feel like they left early. But just tough matchup in general, and it could have gone either way. And I'm just speculating now. I don't know that that's the case, but overall, on the course of the night, this deck specifically got it done, 3-0. So congratulations to Ron once again. All right, that's going to do it for the 3-0s of the week. But I did want to take an opportunity to provide a couple other decks that are here in the area. One of them being mine. It's rare that I get to talk about what I'm playing, mostly because I just can't get over that hump of 2-1, which is what I was this week. I had a lot of fun Friday night at the collector store playing this Ruby Amber deck that I completely sleeved up just without any alterations from Humble over at Team Maelstrom. This was his public deck that he is changing constantly. It's probably changed by the time you're watching this. I'll have a link in the description below if you're interested to see how this deck is doing or how he's evolved the deck since the last time, since you're seeing it now. But ultimately, he's been a pioneer of Amber Ruby for a long time. Got me my first set championship way back in set 6, which I'll always be thankful for. I met him in Milwaukee. It was just an absolute pleasure to get to talk to. I've gushed about him enough on this channel before, but this is his current version of the Simba deck. Since Mufasa's been rotated out, we have this Simba, King in the Making, who's a 7-cost inkable 5/5 quest for 3 with a boost 3, and he has the Mufasa effect. Every time you put a card under this character, you may reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a character card, play it for free and exert it. Otherwise, put it at the bottom of your deck. And this entire deck is built around that card. And much like Mufasa, it is a lot of times hard getting up to that area where it feels good to play him. There are, of course, prime opportunities to play that card because he's a threat no matter what. When you're playing against a lot of Sapphire, I mean, that card you expect to be what gets Hades or something right away. So we got to ramp to it quicker. We got to hope they don't have Hades. And ultimately, the things that card can flip is a lot of fun. It could be the Stitch for the draw. You know, you have more than 2 characters in play. That Stitch draws you 2 cards. The Dragon is the most efficient and most fun card to flip from the Mufasa, or the Mufasa. See, I'm still on Mufasa, but Simba, my biggest combo that I've had was Simba into Maleficent Dragon, boosting one Simba, boosting the second Simba that I flipped into, and then getting a dragon off of that. I mean, it's probably never going to happen again, but the thrill of it was just enough to say that this deck is so much fun, and I want to encourage people to check it out because I'm having so much fun with it this week. Though, how to get to the Simba, we are looking for ramp on 1 with Pluto. His good dog ability allows you to play a character for 1 less ink if you exert him. What the common play line in this deck is Simba, or is Pluto on 1 to play Raja on 2. After you ink for turn on 2, you can exert the Simba or exert the Pluto to play Raja to protect it and keep that ramp alive, hopefully for further turns. You could upgrade your bodyguard, for example, on turn 3 with the mini Daring Defender, who hits back as hard as much damage as you put on her. So she's a 0/8 at first, but the more you run into her, the more damage it's on her, the harder she hits back. So just more protection there, as well as the Baloo on 6, who is a 3/8 quest for 2 bodyguard with support as well. So lots of ways to protect your ramp. One play line that I've really enjoyed so far is Pluto on one, and if the opponent doesn't establish a one drop as well, then you can do a really cool turn on turn two where you ink for turn, play the Lantern, which I forgot was so powerful. I haven't played Lantern in so long, but because you can play the Lantern onto and use it on the same turn, you could exert both Pluto and the Lantern to play a Mowgli, for example, to check out their hand, see what their play lines are. They'll get to pick an action to discard, and if it's anything in the St. Louis meta, it's probably Amethyst Steel, and they're getting rid of their Strength of a Raging Fire that they always have. They usually alter for one of them, and we just saw Ron's deck a little bit ago running only for Strength of a Raging Fire, so you could almost assume that Mowgli is going to hit it most of the time. They Amethyst Steel always has it. Whatever they need, they always have. That's a tangent for another time, but the play lines there, those are a lot of fun. Again, if they establish a one drop, though, you likely lose the Pluto, which you absolutely don't want to do that early on because you want to get your heavy hitters out there quicker, especially the Headless Horseman, who was just an absolute killer Friday night, getting him out on turn three, turn four, to take care of a threat on board. The Clarabelle shift was a big hit there on the final game or final match of the night against Eddie. He was playing an Emerald Amethyst, and he forgot about the Horseman. He put out a Clarabelle when he was trying to get ready to it for a shift, and the Horseman comes out and just takes care of her right away. So I don't have to worry about that. If you're going to play Clarabelle, you're going to play her much later. I'm not going to let you shift that. The draw comes from Xanatos. It comes from Pongo. It comes from Stitch. You can get Pongo out super early, along with these ramps with the Lantern, with the Pluto. You can get Pongo out essentially for free, and then Twilight Bark in the same turn to replenish your hand a little bit. And then we got the Donald Duck package. I haven't got to effectively use that for draw yet, but I do like the idea of that being in there. As some other boost mechanics to make the Simba boost even more thorough or more enjoyable and quicker is the Scrooge on 6. He's a 4/7 quest for 2, and whenever you play a character or location with boost while he's on the board, you can boost that character immediately for free. So it is worth it, especially since the Simba boost, a lot of times the turn you get him out there, you're not boosting him, so you're hoping to get to do that next turn, assuming it doesn't get Hades or something quickly to get rid of that threat, right? Which does happen. And sometimes what also happens, a caveat to playing this this Simba, is that he'll boost into a Pluto or a Tinkerbell or something. You don't want to see that late in the game, which is the price you pay in gambling with that card. But when it does hit, it hits so well, and it's so much fun. The other card that I do want to mention is the Recovered Page, because you get a little bit of draw from it with 55 cards in the deck that are characters you're most likely, I should say always, unless you have a very unfortunate draw of 3 lanterns in the other recovered page. That recovered page is always going to get you at least another character card in your hand, and it sits out there until you have that Simba out there that you can pay 1 ink and boost it immediately. So lots of cool things you can do with this deck. I'm having fun with it. I want to know what you think about it. I encourage you to check it out because I'm having a lot of fun. I know a lot of Illumineers on Twitter and content creators are putting Amber Ruby at the bottom tier of the tier list, but that doesn't stop it from being fun. And I want to know what you guys think. And so let me know in the comments below. I'm going to go on to one last deck that I ran into on Friday night that I absolutely had to talk about, and we're going to get into that one right now. And that deck belongs to Jerry, also on Amber Ruby, and he's just notorious for bringing these off-meta crazy idea decks to throw you off your game and not know what to expect. And that's entirely what he did in my round 2 against him on Friday night. This is a racer deck. This is a location recursion deck. And I did not have the tools to stop him in game 1. I didn't know what to expect. That changed in games 2 and 3 when I knew what to alter for and establish a better board. But Pluto, Mowgli, all of those characters neither of those characters are going to take out these locations in time. He's playing the Sugar Plus Speedway starting line. He's got Vanellope and Taffeta there just to be fodder to move them over to there and to activate the finish line, which allows him to gain 3 lore and draw 3 cards. He's got draw like crazy in this deck with Fix It Felix. He's got Julietta Madrigal, which came out quite a bit. He's got the King Candy allows you to bring racers back from the discard. He's got the Candy Drift. He's got just or rewrite history. The islands I pulled from the sea pulls item or locations from the deck. It's just absolutely wild. In the first game, he just kept recurring the Sugar Rush Speedway, both starting line and finish line with the Minnie Mouse. Candy Drift was one of the cards I saw him ink more than I don't think he ever played it. It was always ink, so maybe an improvement can be made there to help optimize the deck. But games 2 and 3, like I was playing around, like I cannot let this Speedway thing happen over and over again, especially with the Taffeta Mutton Fudge shift line. There were times, multiple times in all 3 games where she's getting him 5 lore each time because whenever she moves to a location, gain 2 lore. Whenever it's the Sugar Rush Speedway combo, she's getting 5 lore in that combo. And it was just so much to deal with. The first game, I think he blew me out, probably 20-0, maybe 20-1 if I was lucky enough to get on the board at all, because I was dealing with everything he was playing as much as I could. I just could not establish enough to keep up with the draw, with enough with the instant lore that he was getting, especially with this new Get to Safety card, which is a 1-cost inkable action. Play a location with cost 3 or less from your discard for free. Then, if you have a location named Sleepy Hollow in play, draw a card, which Sleepy Hollow is in the deck. It's 4 of the 12 that he has in here, but the Speedway is where all of the action was. I don't think he ever got Sleepy Hollow out there in any of our games, but it was absolutely a threat that I knew was there from just playing with him. But absolutely a treat to get to see this in action. I could not believe how much he crushed me the first game. And I was thinking throughout the second game that, like, wow, I'm going to lose to this deck because I don't know what to deal with. But I was happy and able to alter into what I needed to get through it. But it was so much fun to play against this deck. And I asked him if I could highlight it on this short video this week because I was dumbstruck by how fun it looked and how successful he was being with it as well. So shout out to Jerry, always bringing the fire to these league nights, and happy to get to showcase you on here this week, my man. That's going to do it. That's going to wrap up this week's local meta report here in St. Louis. I want to thank everybody who submitted their decks and allowed me to celebrate you and your success with them in our local leagues here in the area. Thank you to everybody else who tuned in to check out these decks. I hope you found something educational, something entertaining, something that you want to try out. I want to hear your thoughts on all of the decks below in the comments if you want to do that, or on the socials. I would love to have a conversation with you, or consider joining our Discord where we have conversations every day about Disney Lorcana, or a bunch of tomfoolery in another channel there as well. But thank you again for tuning in. Consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell for notifications for any kind of Rules of Villainy content, whether it be this report, the podcast proper, or Deck Test Tuesdays with Andy and Kirsten, where they play all kinds of decks, some of them user submitted. You know, if you guys want to see a deck played, a certain matchup played, check it out. They'll build them for you. They'll play them for you and walk through the lines and have a lot of fun over there. So consider checking that out. That's it. I don't have anything else to say. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Until next time, as my friend Gary would say, happy questing.